to Think About It. I'm Sylvia Henderson, your host. And as always, I invite you to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. So my normal opening, which you just heard, is to open a regular Think About It program. But this is a special program. So while I'm inviting you to think about it, I really invite you to pay attention and to absorb everything that's going to be covered today. So this is a special COVID-19 period Think About It episode. And I've got, which is unusual, I've got 4 guests on the show. So I'm going to do a real quick introduction of the guests, and then we're going to get right in to the content of the program. So my guests today, not necessarily in the order of your Brady Bunch view, because everybody's got a different view. My one guest is, and I'll tell you their focus too. One guest is Josh Silverstone, and you can wave. And Josh is the COO of Mind Team Solutions Incorporated. And he's been invited to be on the show to focus on how a small business, a small service business, is supporting their clients and collaborating with their partners. And in full transparency, that's my company, but I couldn't do it, so I asked my business partner to do it. Another guest is C. Marie Taylor, the Executive Director of Leadership Montgomery. And I invited her to talk about the nonprofit member organizations that she supports. She supports other organizations also, but I wanted her to focus on how she's leading the nonprofits members through this time of, I'm calling it time of pause, and that is a borrowed phrase from Darian Pollard of Montgomery College, whose session I heard the other day. Another guest is Margie Graff. She's president and CEO of Rockville Chamber, and she's going to focus on Chamber of Commerce support with small business members and how she's helping them get through the crises and resources for small businesses. And finally, but not least, is Dr. Drena Valentine, the founder and CEO of Integrative Management Solutions, LLC. And I asked her to talk about how she's supporting her government contractor businesses and maybe some government agencies who are her clients as she leads them through this time of pause. And again, everyone has other types of companies, businesses, nonprofits that they're supporting, but that's the focus for this program today. So welcome everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So my first question, I usually ask people what their job is and how they got to do what they do, but I want to know from you, and we'll just kind of go round robin, whoever wants to answer first. How are you doing? Because that's sometimes not what people ask you in a session like this. They ask you for advice, they ask you for, what resources do you have, but not how you're doing. And as leaders, you're all doing a certain way too. So as transparent as you want to be, why don't you share just a little bit about how you're doing through this time of pause? And maybe I'll do it in order of my screen, and that's Dr. Valentine first.
Thank you, Sylvia. I appreciate that. I, just like many other small business owners, is struggling at this time. My business is, I generate business based on going to conferences and workshops and networking. And of course, all of that is shut down, right? And so my contracts have either been put on hold, have been postponed, or have stopped altogether. But other than that, you know what, I'm not going to complain because I've actually found ways to adapt to this situation, the current situation we're in, and have been able to revamp or re-strategize the way I go about doing business, and I haven't been doing too bad. So, however, I definitely nowhere near how I was before COVID-19 hit.
Yeah. Okay, and the next person I see on my screen is Margie. So Margie, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. I just focus on what I can control and leave what I can't control. And I just focus on making sure I have a lunch break And I'm making sure at 6 o'clock I get out and go for an hour walk, just to decompress, because I'm on these Zoom meetings from 8:30 in the morning to 6 every night. So, I'm here to be helpful. I'm here to make all the connections and do the next right thing. So I try to keep it really simple. Someone gave me great advice years ago: stay where your feet are. And that's what I do. I stay where I am and do the next right thing, and try to keep it simple. So, there's a lot of overwhelm out there. So just what can I control, and just keep it that simple. Thanks for asking.
I have I guess it's a Scottish prayer that's nearby in my office. That's, the grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change the things I can. Yeah. And wisdom. Yep.
Know the difference. I know that one well.
So the next person I see on my screen is C. Marie Taylor. How are you doing?
Well, let's see. I'm taking it day by day. And today I'm all right. I'm glad it's Friday. Like everybody else, I spent a lot of time in my new office, looking at the screen and trying to be there for folks. And I'll be honest, I did a webinar yesterday, I think it was, and I said to them, I said, you know what? I'm exhausted. Mm-hmm. And that's the truth. I am exhausted. However, in that exhaustive state, there's a freedom I have, because I've told people, you know what, this is where I am. I'm taking care of myself. I'm exercising every day. I'm walking 2 to 3 times a day. I'm carving out, even if it's 5 minutes to 20 minutes. So that's how I'm saving myself, because I have a huge responsibility for my organization, for my family, for our 2,500 members, right? And so that is exhausting. And so that's honest. However, with that exhaustion, I'm finding ways to pivot, to stay engaged, and to be re-energized by conversations like this, and by just being honest. There's a new freedom I'm finding in that.
New freedom, that's good. And Josh, how are you doing?
Hey there. Yeah, thank you guys for sharing how you're doing. There's this quote I heard recently, a way kind of explaining this. We're all in the same storm, but on different boats. And I thought that was a good way of kind of putting this. Like everybody else, this has been a shakeup to our business and the way we service our clients. And we found opportunities to pivot, but it hasn't been without challenges. Me individually, personally, I have a 2-year-old. So I'm figuring about how do I juggle, my other responsibilities and work, and, keeping that in balance. It's always a question, but even now now even more so, it's more difficult to really keep that in balance. And because of that, I can't necessarily work 9 to 5 or 9 to 6 straight through. It's how do I block my time? How do I, work a little bit in the evening hours, a little bit on the weekends, but still carve out that time to take care of myself personally and, rest at the same time as trying to be productive. So that's the challenge. I think it's the challenge we're all facing. And, that's my unique experience.
Yeah, cool. And I'm an extrovert. I love, like some of you, I speak for part of my living. So yeah, I'm feeling the lack of events and the lack of speaking out, but I'm getting a lot more business speaking virtually, because I after years of using Zoom, using this platform before, I can do it better than many. So it's been good in terms of being a speaker. But I miss my buddy down there, my Josh. So it's kind of tough as a business partner not being in the same office. Yesterday we were on a call, and his dog, which is we babysit sometimes at our house, was on the deck with him, and I said, "Oh, I miss him." I said, "I miss you too, Josh, but I miss him." So, I miss the hugs. So cool. So and I asked that question because a lot of times those who we support they feel the one-to-one, they feel the individual support that each of you is giving to them. And I'm not sure they realize that in you're doing one by one, you're receiving 2,500 calls or 500 calls and managing everyone. So there's something that we have to deal with ourselves as leaders too. Mm-hmm. So leading into, what I wanted you to share with everybody with your focus, my first question is, and I'm going to go round robin. is how your business or your organization is working through the COVID-19 situation now, and what resources and tools you've put in place to help your clients or your communities or your members survive. So we're going to hit the how are you making it through now, and then the next round will be moving forward, how you're helping them get out of the situation and support them later. But so right now, just let's handle how we're handling situations now and helping folks move through the current, which may be another month or so, as we are now. So I'm going to shift a little bit, and somebody want to say who wants to answer first, or doesn't matter to me.
I'll go first.
Okay, go ahead.
So how we're working now. So Leadership Montgomery is trying to be there for all of our members. And we're doing a series of webinars called Leadership in Action. Marjorie was actually on one last week, where we're trying to get all our folks connected and getting information, good, solid information out, and to learn tips about how they can work together, what people are doing. And we're putting out a series of those. We're doing that for all of our leadership and actually the general public. And then for our folks who are participating in the programs, we're offering a weekly educational series virtually. And then the last thing that we're doing is we're trying to push out really good content through our website, through our social media channels, and then through personalized phone calls, which are actually nice, and then individual Zoom calls. So we're trying to hit all platforms and every piece of social media individually. And I think the other thing that we're trying to do is we're trying to support local businesses by purchasing and doing deliveries that way, highlighting them through our workshops. We're going to start to work with some of them to offer discounts if they use those services. So we're trying to make all those connections together and really just absorbing individuals' chaos and trying to help them figure and navigate that.
Did you put into play any special resources for this time frame, either at the membership site or anything unique just for the members, resource-wise?
I would say we're putting out a lot more virtual content than normal. And then we're following up every single webinar and we're reposting it through our YouTube channel. So we're doing a lot more video work than I think we were doing before. And I think the thing that's different is we have long lists of ways that people can volunteer, like how we can support other nonprofits. And so that's new information that we're sharing through our channels, trying to take all that in and push it back out in a concrete way for folks. So I think that's new for us. And that's how one of our staff members had to pivot her work to focus on that.
And the last micro question. So for nonprofits, are they needing, I'm thinking they're donation based for the most part, or volunteer based for the most part. Anything different that has to be done now so that people, the public, who's also dealing with their financial situation and their business situation, still can support nonprofits? Anything special you're helping them with?
Yeah, it's very, very different right now. So a lot of nonprofits need support. And so we're helping them to figure out how they can do their work virtually and how they can set up their work through the social distance guidelines. So we're pushing that information out for all for anyone in the public, actually, how they can show up and volunteer. So we are gathering that information in a concrete way because there's so much information right now. Yeah. So on our website, there are concrete places where other nonprofits can be supported and what their actual needs are, and even things that they can do at home. And the other thing that we're doing for-profit and nonprofit businesses is we're meeting with them and finding out what are the things that they need, and then we're aligning them with other folks in our network. So somebody from WestTech called us and asked for a list, right, which is part of the work that we do. So we developed a solid list for them with other nonprofits that we work with and sent them that list. So we're able to do that type of work for individuals and nonprofits together.
And we'll do it again at the end, but what's your website?
Oh, it's leadershipmontgomerymd.org. I don't even know our website.
Okay. Yes, because there's a Leadership Montgomery in Pennsylvania. I found out when I searched the term, and I'm from Philadelphia, and I'm like, this isn't the one.
Yeah, no, you got to put the MD, leadershipmontgomerymd.org.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. Margie, gonna hit you next. So with the, how's Rockville Chamber getting through today and short term tomorrow and helping small businesses that you support?
Well, one of the things that's been most important is helping them with their loan and grant applications. And, you know, they need money. That's what they need right away. They need money and they need information. So we've been disseminating information. What I did is I started a series of podcasts. So I interviewed the SBA, the SBDC, the mayor of Rockville, county council member Evan Glass. I wanted people to hear right from their mouths, because there's a lot of misinformation out there, you know, what these programs are, how to use the money, how to get the money. So we have been really busy with that, disseminating out all that information. Like C. Marie said, you know, we make connections all the time. We've been sourcing, you know, one of our members makes wipes and disinfectant, and we connected them with Shady Grove because they needed that. And then someone else needed the masks, and we, you know, so we're making all those connections. But mostly that's what we're doing. And we've taken all of our programs to Zoom. I know you've been familiar with it, but 30 days ago, nobody was doing everything on Zoom. So we've had to teach our board and teach our members how to pivot to this platform. So, which has actually been great, because now more people can participate than before, because they are at home and they do have the time to hop in. So, you know, without having to drive anywhere, more people are participating. So that's been a really great thing.
Have you had the conversations yet that, this is working really well, I'm not sure we're going back to yeah, I think what you've done in terms of, like you said, the government communication has been super, because I've been clicking on those links and have applied, and am actually, the other computer was sitting here on wait right now as I'm trying to get through to the Maryland unemployment system, because I think they opened today in terms of taking us government contract, or us contractors and small solo organizations. So we shall see.
Well, one thing, tomorrow, is tomorrow the 25th? Tomorrow by 5 is the deadline for Montgomery County grant. And they're going to be out of money. So, you know, that's the hot topic of today. It's like, whoever hasn't applied, try to get in. And, you know, I'm just afraid they're going to run out of money before tomorrow at 5, you know, so it's really a tough situation for everybody.
So yeah, I would say that communication to us as business owners has been really valuable. So thank you.
Good.
So Dr. Valentine, or Drena, what do you want?
Thank you. Yes. So I know today I'm speaking on my focus is on the government, but as the past interim executive director for the Maryland Black Chamber of Commerce, I have a lot of small business owners who are still connected to me. And so throughout this time, I have proactively been reaching out to them, because what I said was this, and you know, I'm a small minority women-owned business. And I said, at the end of this, I don't want to be the only Black business owner standing, right? And so what I've done is proactively reached out to my network and asked them a simple question. Because first of all, when someone's getting an email or a Zoom call, they're thinking, oh, you know, somebody's going to ask me for money, or I have no work for them. So I made it very clear when I reached out to my network that I am not here to ask you for money. I'm not here to ask you for business. I want to see how I can support you. And in doing so, and this is part of the pivot, in doing so, I find that I'm doing a lot of coaching, letting folks know that there are opportunities out there that you would not believe. I reached out to one woman and was offered 3 contracts in the span of 30 minutes. In the span of 30 minutes, I was also able to help connect other business owners to each other. And it's amazing how just reaching out and talking to folks, finding out what I can do to support them. How, number one, they're relieved that, wow, somebody's actually interested in talking to me. Someone's actually interested in how I am doing and not asking me for money. The other thing is, similar to Margie, I have volunteered with the Maryland Chamber of Commerce to help those individuals who are interested in the public emergency assistance grant through Montgomery County to also, I mean, if they're going through that if that's an option for them, to be able to help them complete that application. And the other thing is, we have been inundated with the information about you can apply for this, apply for that. So I'm getting a lot of phone calls and emails saying, Drena, you know, this is too much. What do you think? And just based on asking just a few questions and understanding where they are in their position, I'm able to make recommendations. I was making sure I had my notes here to you know, be able to throw off some things. But guess what? We're not all eligible for a lot of the grants and programs out there. And interesting enough, I like, I'm sure thousands of other individuals in Montgomery County, or in the state of Maryland, actually, who decided, I'm going to see if I can apply for that that unemployment. 701 on line night, the system was crashing. The system was crashing. By 7:05, I was receiving emails saying, hey, Drena, is this possible? I'm like, yeah, if you can get it through. So again, I'm trying to do my best in reaching out to folks. And that would be my recommendation, is stay connected, communicate, remind people of what it is that you are, what you do. And then in doing so, you might be surprised that someone out there may be able to hire you today. If not today, maybe in a month or so.
Are you finding that the government contracting, the long protracted process, or the rules, are you finding any of those being, what do I want to say, either delayed or canceled, the actual terms and all that, so that it's easier right now to maybe get or solicit government business, or is that kind of not changed?
Believe it or not, Maryland has a saying, we're open for business. The government is still working. The government, they may have sent some employees home in terms of working from home, but there was, I remember there was one government contract. I was looking at the Q&A, and one of the questions is, are you going to be delayed? Can you extend the submission for the contract? The answer was a flat out no. So as far as I know, there has not been any changes or in submitting or going after contracts. Now, what we don't know, because the government hasn't told us, I'm sure that there are contracts or solicitation that were planned to come out, let's say in Q3, Q4, that because of the pandemic has been put off. I mean, you can tell that by the forecast if you look at it. But otherwise, if there's a solicitation that hits, if you're interested in it, I would strongly suggest that you go for it.
Okay, I didn't know if they made it any simpler, you know, to get through this time period. Okay. So Josh, how's the small businesses, and you know, without a product, we don't sell masks, we don't sell PPEs. We're a service business, helping other businesses. How are you? How's as a small business owner getting through this and supporting clients?
Yeah. Well, I think, you know, first for us, we had to make immediate changes and pivots. You know, we did a month ago, we launched virtual idea mind teams, or virtual masterminds, on a weekly basis. So that was one way to kind of get ahead of that curve, if you will, or start being out there, inviting people to connecting with people. That was our way of doing it in an environment that we created, where that's our magic, facilitated these type of mastermind sessions. That was one immediate way we pivoted very quickly. We have other things, that we're working on, that we're kind of thinking ahead and thinking forward to, taking this time a little bit to say, okay, what are some of the things that are kind of bottlenecks for us? For example, our podcast, we're creating podcasts, but we are managing a lot of that in-house. So we've actually brought more people onto the team. We haven't stopped spending. We've actually kind of ramped up our efforts. Actually, we've brought on, a podcast editor, a podcast producer. We've also been working on this white paper on the idea of innovation for the past 6 months. So now we brought it back to the forefront. We've hired 3 different editors on that. So we're actually saying, okay, what things can we control, right? This was talked about earlier. What things can we control? What things can we do now? Because it's not going to look the exact same. That will help us in the future. So you guys were talking about it a little bit, and Margie, you were kind of mentioning this too. Like there's this fire that needs to put out. I used this analogy of the storm in the boat before. Well, when your boat has holes on it, you got to start patching it up. And that's what matters right now. It's kind of this, idea of putting out fires. But I think where we come in and what we do is really about how do we recover and how do we think about the future, and just our actions in terms of some of the things I just mentioned and others, and what we do for our clients. So, one of our biggest clients is in the event management world. And so we were happy to see that they pivoted. And actually, not only did they pivoted using our tool, the one-page plan, our strategic planning tool, the dashboard, looking at what are your biggest goals, priorities, projects, people, and how do I lay this out over this timeline? These things are always true, but now so more than ever, the basics to some degree, we just got to go back to them and focus. Okay, what are the most important things? Me personally, like I said, I have a 2-year-old running around upstairs. So what are the most important things? How do I pour in, everything I can into that to move things forward without also burning myself out? So that's always the challenge. And that's what I see as the challenge now, and how we're helping support people.
Cool. Well, thank you for that, for all the help. And I've come to all of you for one reason or another, which is why you're on this call, for the help that you're giving right now, because you're right, it is overwhelming, and there's 15 million things that are on the to-do list. And I'm looking around my office thinking, I intended to get rid of that pile. I intended to get through that and take care of email, of electronic files, and that isn't getting done because there are new opportunities out there. What Josh didn't say is also looking at what are our other skills, what are other services that we weren't in the forefront of promoting that we can do now to help other businesses. And we've gotten a couple of inquiries just from that. It's like, I didn't intend to be a Zoom master, but there are ways of managing meetings that other businesses, they just want to have the meeting. They don't want to deal with the other stuff around it. And that's something like, we can do that, and so it's allowed us to figure out some other services. So that's how we're getting through the times. So I'm going to shift, and if everybody's okay for just moving through, I'll move on to now. Let's look at future. So the future is going to be here. One of those things they say is, no matter what happens, time's moving on. Mm-hmm. And no matter what happens, we hope that the organizations and the people we're supporting will still be with us as we move on. So as all of you are looking to getting past this whole time of pause, as we keep saying, however many months or weeks it may be, no matter who's telling us what we can do in terms of open or not, whether it's coming from local or national, what are you doing to move your people through to look at, hey, the end of 2020 is coming. If you still want to be here, mm-hmm. These are the things you need to do. And hey, 2021 is still going to be here. If you still want to be a part of that, we need to get out of that. How we started the year was that 2020 vision. Now we need to be looking at 2021 vision. So how are you moving your folks to that and having them plan for that stage when they're still in the middle of, oh crap, what do I do? And I'm going to shift the rotation and say, I think I asked, Margie, have you answer that first?
Okay, well, the chamber's always doing what the chamber does. It's all about our members, so what we do now is what we do long term. It's what can we do to help them. It's not about the chamber, it's about them. So that's our focus. So whatever they need going forward, one of the things I say to them is take this time to look at your strengths, look at your weaknesses, your opportunities, your threats, your SWOT analysis. Take the time now to look at your business without being in it, because you have the time to do that. So if they lay this foundation now, that's going to be the foundation that they're laying for the future. As far as advertising and marketing and promotion, this is when you heavy up. This is not when you pull back, because when we come out of it, it's going to be top of mind awareness. It's the ones that are advertising right now who are going to be ahead of the game coming out. So I know it's a tough time. We're a small business too. We're the same as everybody else. We've had to shift all of our meetings, all of our events. So the only money we have coming in is member dues, if we have member dues. The thing is, some of them asked to be on deferral because they don't have the money now. So we're working with people. We're in the same boat as everybody else. But this is not the time you drop associations or you drop your memberships. This is a family, and we need to stay together as a family. This is where we need the help the most. So whatever it takes to keep everybody connected and be that family, we will all get through this together. This will end, and we'll be that much stronger in the future. So the opportunity is now to, look at your SWOT analysis, learn new technology, that can't hurt, even personally learn a new hobby, just to grow and improve your skills, and everybody's learning, who would have thought we would be doing this, and even social media strategy. Now is a good time to look at your social media strategy, what you want in the future. So everything is laying the foundation now for the future. But we'll be here and we'll be doing everything that we always do and whatever's best for the business.
And are the messages, you talk marketing,
Mhm.
are you helping businesses realize and work through a different kind of message now and as they move forward?
I haven't helped them with their messaging, but we do have, great committees. We have a membership committee, we have a marketing committee. Anybody's invited to be on these committees. And, in these committees, our marketing committee are all the top ad agencies in Rockville. How you can't get better than that. So, if somebody wants to tap into that, they're more than welcome to sit in on the marketing committee, so there's always ways for people to plug in. And there in those committees, they will find different ways to help themselves, as well as, looking at marketing the chamber and marketing the region, they could take some of those tips for their own business as well.
I don't know if you have near you or printed out already. You read off in a meeting the other day, you read off like a 7 or 8 line words of advice. You have that nearby?
I do have that.
Share that with us.
All righty. Okay. Focus on others, not yourself. Forget about your commodity. Focus on your relationships. Forget about the sale. Focus on creating value. Forget about your losses. Focus on your opportunities. Forget about your difficulties. Focus on your progress. Forget about the future. Focus on today. Forget about who you were. Focus on who you can be. Forget about events. Focus on your responses. Forget about what's missing. Focus on what's available. Forget about your complaints. Focus on gratitude.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love that. So thank you for sharing that. Awesome. Okay. How we look ahead. Let's see. I keep picking Josh last, so I'm going to have Josh go next.
Yeah. How we look ahead. I think I kind of talked about it a little bit, and Sylvia, you mentioned a little bit too, but I think the biggest thing we all need right now to remember is to have empathy for everybody. How we move ahead, and I put that in the context of how do we help our clients? Well, and that's kind of a value question too. So those are kind of the two words really rolling around in my head that I think we all have to keep in mind. empathy, what do people really need right now? So don't try to sell anybody or your clients, what you want to do. Like, what do they need, right? And if they're literally worrying about the metaphorical fire, don't come at them that way. So I agree, we have to be marketing, but the message needs to change, right? And it's how can I help you, which it always should have been, but even more so than ever, we have to match up what people need and the value that we can offer. As Sylvia mentioned, we were kind of starting a new service that we didn't really intend to, because there was a clear need, that an urgency for something. And so we're figuring out, okay, how do we move into that, still sticking in our wheelhouse of managing and facilitating meetings and doing it in a different way. So it's not necessarily a huge pivot, but it is taking on a new service in a way that we never did. So that's a change for us. I think, we use our own tools in terms of our one-page planning. So as soon as this all came down, Sylvia said, okay, what are the most important priorities we need to focus on? And granted, we didn't know it was going to go on for as long as it seemingly is going to go on, but what can we focus on now? And then we asked the same question with our clients. What are the biggest priorities? What are the biggest things you need to focus on? Where are the opportunities now? Obviously, you're not going to get to all these things because, February's gone now, March is gone now. So it's okay. So now what's important, and how do we focus on it? How do we reposition the people we have? Can we bring new people on? What do we do differently? So again, I think it's a balance of focusing on today and thinking ahead to the future. And I think the biggest thing that we can all help people with and recognize, having that empathy, is that everybody's experiencing some degree of fear. So I think fear of making the wrong decision, fear of putting their people in harm's way, fear of spending the wrong money at the wrong time, investing in the wrong thing in terms of effort. So I think that's sort of the thing we all kind of need to be consciously aware of as we move forward. And, we're doing what we can to help with that, to put out some positivity, to look at opportunities to remind people about gratitude, and to just, like I said, focus on what you can control, because there's certain things you can't. And, but there are certain things you do have more control and choices over than you might realize. And that's really what we're here to help guide.
So Drena.
Yes. So Josh mentioned empathy. Understand this: the government is an entity, and their sole concern is getting the work done, right? And so here's the thing: competition was fierce before this pandemic. It's going to be fierce afterwards, because everybody is going to be trying to go after work. And here's the other thing: the government won't necessarily say this, but there is concern floating out there that those who are going after government contracts can actually handle the work, right? And so one of the things that I've been suggesting to folks is this: there's a section in your proposal that you should be talking about, or if you haven't been talking about it before, you should be talking about it now, about how you mitigate challenges that would possibly come up while you're working on this contract. Make sure that's clear and concise. The other thing is making sure there's going to be, I believe, a closer look at your financial state for small businesses, to make sure that these businesses can handle these contracts. So make sure that you're able to produce your profit and loss statements or any other financial information that's asked of you. I think there's going to be a situation where there's going to be a closer vetting of businesses going after contracts. Now, there has been some concern that, hey, only folks who are interested, who have a relationship with their banker are getting loans. And we've already heard from Maria, for example, saying that, or Margie, I apologize, who's saying that, the money's running out. My suggestion is go talk to your banker anyway, right? because your bank may be in a situation to be able to give you a loan or maybe extend a line of credit based on an award letter. You don't hear a lot about that. The SBA will continue to be able to give out microloans. So these are the kind of things to be considering when going after government contractors. Again, Maryland is open for business. The federal government haven't stopped running. There will be an uptick in solicitation, especially when we're able to move about more freely. It may not be the norm, but we will be in a situation where we will be going back to work, and the government unfortunately won't have any empathy, and we need to be prepared to do the work. One last suggestion I want to make is that when you're going after a contract, it would be a good idea to speak to the contract officer and ask them, are there any extenuating situations based on what we've gone through that you'll be considering when considering giving out an award? It's not like you're asking for an award, and more likely it'll be something whatever they say to you, they're going to be telling somebody else, right? So open communication, be transparent in your proposals, as well as going after the work. So.
And one other thing I heard you say in another meeting, some of these meetings are all coming together, was the collaboration part. Smaller businesses reaching out now virtually to collaborate, figure out where we can connect with other businesses going for these contracts so that we do look bigger, but we also have the other contingencies that
Absolutely. So one of the questions I've been asked as a small business owner, I'm a single member LLC, and I've had a government contractor say, well, Drena, how many employees you have? And I've said, that is not my business model. My business model is that I'm a single member LLC, but I have partners that I work with that at a moment's notice, I can scale up. And literally, literally that means that I work with a number of other business owners to strengthen my ability to go after contracts. And while I know what my area of expertise is, I'm working with other business owners to either fill in gaps or strengthen our position. So absolutely, if going after contracts with other small business owners it's not a good idea. It's a great idea, and one that we all should be considering, which brings me to the point I brought up earlier in terms of reaching out.
Right.
Don't wait until after this is over and you're going after a contract and you're trying to reach out to someone saying, hey, do you want to go after this contract? Well, if I haven't heard from you and I don't know whether or not you're still in business, I don't think I'd be reaching out to someone I haven't heard to or who have disappeared, right? And so I've done that. I made sure that I've connected with the partners that I normally work with, and we're supporting each other through this pandemic. We're making sure that we're staying strong, and Margie is absolutely correct. You can advertise and not necessarily have to post. I've been posting on LinkedIn and been hearing from folks who I haven't heard from in a while. But bottom line is, folks know who I am, they know what I do, and if not, I'm sure you'll give me an opportunity to say so. But the bottom line is I'm staying connected, and that is my suggestion for folks who are interested in going after government contracts.
And I'll tell you, I've moved up in my priority, finishing, because I started but didn't finish, finishing the process of the certifications, being minority certified or women-owned certified. I told Josh, you're just going to be COO of a minority-owned, women-owned business, and I've moved that up in priority because I figured that's another little added thing that might help us. So, see, Marie, you've been patiently sitting there. So how are you moving us as Leadership Montgomery members forward through the rest of the year?
So a few different ways, and it's touching on all the things that folks are saying, right? So it's all about the collaborations, about the opportunities, that piece that Marjorie talked about. This is the time right now. What are your opportunities, internal and external? And so we're helping by being a model, right? So our opportunities were we have all these amazing leaders, right? So our opportunity was, oh, we can get them on camera. We can talk about their expertise, right? So that makes us look good. That makes them look good. So we figured out how to do that. We talked about collaboration, right? We had all the chambers on, many of the chambers, that's about collaboration. I'm having another conversation with some other nonprofits about mergers, the M word. Let's talk about mergers. Nonprofits never want to merge. They need to merge. This is the time. You hear me saying it right now. Figure out what your opportunities, what your strengths are, and you need to merge, right? So Leadership Montgomery, we did it 2 years ago. We increased our revenue by 30%, right? And our opportunity to work with other companies, we're looking at other nonprofits who are interested. If you want to merge with Leadership Montgomery, come talk to us. This is the opportunity. So we're serving as a model. We are opening up those dialogues for folks who don't want to have those conversations, right? And the other thing that we're being is consistent. So we're consistent about our messaging, and we're taking the time to make sure that we're advertising so people keep us top of mind, and we're checking in with folks, right? So we're doing all those things that everyone's talking about in the nonprofit space and in the for-profit space. And I think where we feel a unique space is that we're able to bring all those groups together, for-profit, nonprofit, and even government sectors. And so people come to us because they know they can get all those things in one model. So I think those are the things that we're doing right now. And then in terms of being future focused also, so everyone I think knows that we have these dynamic leadership programs. So we move them virtually, right? And we have planned for them to start again in the fall. If they don't start in the fall, we already have dates for them to start in 2020. So when we started this a few months ago, we have come up with 4 plans for every single thing, for every scenario, right? And so we have a COVID crisis plan that we shared with some other folks. So we're again in that model place, but also making sure that we're relevant and that we're going to survive, because I'm going to survive. So Leadership Montgomery is going to survive. And then by that, other folks can be like, oh, well, if they can figure that out, then we can do that too. So I think those are some of the examples without repeating some of the other great words that you heard from the other folks.
If there weren't a copyright issue, I'd go to my screen and do a Gloria Gaynor, I will survive. So.
Right. So, but here's the thing, you've got to make that mindset. While I said I'm exhausted, I am not a quitter, and I am going to make it happen. So whatever we have to do to figure out to make it happen, we're going to make it happen. And as long as we're making it happen, then other people can serve as that model. And if we're a resource for other people, then it's going to happen, right? So you just have to, you have no choice but to figure it out. And I think I've always come from that. And so that's how Leadership Montgomery leads. We're in this together in different pieces. So I'll stop rambling, but
that's okay.
We're all going to make
hashtag make it happen. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So resource, you are all resources. So here comes the shameless self-promotion as we bring this program to a almost close. So shameless self-promotion. I'm going to go back around on my screen again. So I've got Drena first. What do you do and how do people reach you?
So I am the founder of Integrative Management Solutions. I'm a strategic operations management consulting firm specializing in business process improvement. If there isn't a time that you thought in the past, now is the perfect time to look at how am I going about operating my day-to-day operations? Are they efficient? Are they effective? Are they relevant for the time that we are moving into, not just now, but for the future? And so I help business owners to look at those processes And that's in just about anything that has to do with your day-to-day operations of your business. So I help them look at those processes, if it's a strategic plan, if there's a program or project management, if there's a major change going on in your communication, customer service, marketing, you name it. Integrative Management Solutions is here to help. Folks can reach me at 301-960-3726 or email me at dvalentine, like February 14th, at imsllcmd.com. And thank you so much, Sylvia. And I appreciate sharing this stage with all the distinguished guests. I really appreciate this opportunity.
Cool. I appreciate you. I'm glad I've gotten to know you. And just think, that started from that little dinky, I won't say the name of it, that little dinky diner that we had a one-on-one with near the offices. So, okay, Margie, Rockville Chamber, how do we reach you?
Okay, obviously I'm the president and CEO of the Rockville Chamber of Commerce. You can reach me at Margie, M-A-R-J-I, at rockvillechamber.org or rockvillechamber.org, Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, you name it. One thing I want to say, I don't know if you know this or not, but 12 years ago, I had an international media and marketing business as well as a wellness company. So I was selling high-end products to hotels and day spas worldwide. And I lost my business because it was the economic downturn and nobody was buying my saunas and my tubs. And so when this happened, it's really personal because I don't want anybody to go through the pain that I went through 12 years ago. So, I have just been trying my hardest to get that information out to people because I didn't have a government, giving me I had no resources at that time. And the worst thing you tell an entrepreneur is, you go bankrupt or get a job. And I'm like, oh my God, but that's how I ended up in the chamber world. So I love this world because I still feel like I'm an entrepreneur, but I can help a lot of people because of the different background that I had. I was a certified women business owner, so I can help you through that as well. So I have all this background and empathy because I've been there, done it. So I just want people to, call me, and I'll help them. I'll talk them through. I've got that experience and I just want to save people from having to go through what I went through because it was painful.
I think that's really important for entrepreneurs to know because many times we look at a chamber and we think, okay, the chamber leaders are administrative or they came from a job and do they really understand me as an entrepreneur? Excuse me. So I think it's really important that people know your story, Margie, because it's like, okay, she gets business. Mm-hmm. So yeah. So Leadership Montgomery, what are we all about and how do we reach you?
Well, I think everyone knows how to reach me. However, so our website is leadershipmontgomerymd.org. My email is cmarie, yes, there's a C, marie.taylor@leadermont.org. And so you can reach us through the website, through my email, through any of our social media channels. So we do 3 things for folks who don't know. We run dynamic adult leadership programs that connect you to your community, where you can grow personally and professionally. I say it's your opportunity to create white space for yourself to figure out how to show up differently. I did the program in 2012 and it made a world of difference. I've never looked for a job since. I've been called for jobs all the time, although I love my job, so I'm not leaving. Number 2, we help companies up their civic engagement by dynamic volunteer work. So they want to do the work, but they don't want to figure it out. They pay us a nice fee, a reasonable fee, and we figure out everything for them. So that's really important for companies to show up. So we help them up their civic engagement. And then we have an entire leadership and action body of work where we help people who want to be on boards. We help people who want to figure out how they want to do work in a community. And most proudly, recently, we added an entire series of equity work because it's a big issue that people didn't want to talk about. So we run race equity workshops. We run a whole year-long program for companies who want to figure out how they want to redo their work through a race equity lens, which this is the time that people should be looking at that right now. So we have expertise. We have folks from around the country who will lead these programs. Again, how we collaborate, right, and figure out how these opportunities. So through our Leadership in Action series, we get people excited about work and we actually give them the tools to do the work, which is different because people get excited but don't know how to do it. So we have programs for that. So those are the three things that Leadership Montgomery does right now. But stay tuned.
All right, class of 2017, the class that rocked. And Josh, what does Mind Team Solutions do and how do people reach her?
Well, Mind Team Solutions does leadership and organizational development. We help companies plan, develop, and execute on strategies, help them work with their people to achieve success. This is a time now where we're trying to put out as much good content that isn't inundating and annoying, that is helpful for leaders. So if that is something you want to tap into for some level of inspiration, whatever you're willing to commit to, you can go on Facebook or LinkedIn. Those are probably our two most active social media channels. You can join our leadership letters where we send out weekly email tips, leadership tips that are more in depth and have a lot of value. We are, keep an eye out for our innovation white paper and check out our podcast, Leverage Your Leadership, if that's something that you're interested in. So our websites are mindteamsolutions.com, or you can check out our book website, internalmasterminds.com, where it tells you a little bit more about creating connection and building an organization of collaboration, which again, more than ever, it's very important to do. And there's ways of doing it, even in these times. So I'll leave it at that.
Cool. And last, I've never done this, but I want to put a plug in also for the studio that's hosting this conversation, Montgomery Municipal Cable TV, and the studio is located in Kensington, Maryland, but MMC-TV.org is their website. And so check out all the programming that's there regularly, including our program, Think About It, as well as resources specific to this COVID-19 period, which is why we're doing this program today. So for all of you who have taken an hour out of your way busy time, and you've given this information to, I don't know how many different sessions, thank you again for joining me and for joining this program. And people will find you at the MMC-TV COVID-19 sub-channel, I guess is what I'll call it, but programming that they're running right now. And so for viewers, I invite you to make the best of your current situation. Check out all these resources that we've given you today. And my usual ending is, thank you for honoring me with the time of watching Think About It. I invite you to tune in, take what you see and hear, and, well, think about it. And most of all, make a great day.